Alright, so right off the bat, I'm gonna tell you that Black Panther was such a good movie. Like, that movie is probably already the best movie of 2018, and it's only what? February, March. Why would I look at my hand for that? Anyway, you guys already know how my reviews go. I'm gonna tell you what I did like about the movie. I'm gonna tell you what I didn't like about the movie, because yeah, it wasn't a perfect movie. I'm not gonna sit here and be super biased like, oh yeah, black people, woo, we win. No, there was some things about this movie that was a little and then I'm gonna break down some of the underlying messages that I thought were really important. So let's go ahead and get into it. So first off, like I said, overall it was a great movie. It was very well done, from the cast to the costuming to the special effects and CGI and the location. You know, half of it you can't even tell that they're shooting in front of a green screen or in a studio or whatever. And something that I really appreciated when it came to the costuming and the rituals and all of that, they actually incorporated and infused real African tribes and traditions and cultures and languages and all of that into the movie, so it made it much more believable. It made it much more authentic. Another thing that I really liked about the movie, and yeah, this is my bias talking just a little bit, you know, Ryan Coogler being from Oakland and me being from Oakland, the fact that he changed Killmonger's hometown from New York to being from Oakland. Because if you're aware of the original Black Panther story, Killmonger, yeah, he's Wakandan, but he grew up in New York. But he actually was able to tie in this change in a very subtle yet powerful way, because he could have easily been like, yeah, I'm from Oakland, so let's change it and make it from Oakland. There was a little bit more of a purpose to it, with Killmonger having such a militant and kind of radical mindset. They have these nods to the Black Panther Party. You see a Huey poster in the background. He talks about how the people from his hometown started revolutions and all of that. So you see how it's had an impact on him. So I think that was a really dope change to make without it being so in your face. And speaking of location, I love the fact that the majority of the movie was set in Wakanda. You know, it's in Africa. You know, it's in a studio or some shit, but Africa. Yeah, they show the scene where they're like in London and they're in the museum when Michael B. Jordan steals the shit, and he was looking good in that scene. I was like, oh, yeah. Anyway, and then I think they were in like Tokyo at one point. Of course, they show Oakland, you know, to show Killmonger's upbringing and where he grew up and all of that. But the majority of the movie is in Africa, which I really love, because it makes you appreciate the fact that the cast is majority black even more. Because when you have that many black people in a movie that's set in America, it's either a slave movie or it's a movie about the hood or something like that. So it makes you appreciate the cast a lot more. It's really just such a beautiful sight to see them in this beautiful land. They're literally in an African utopia. The people are beautiful. They're technologically advanced. Like, it's just beautiful. It's something that you can really appreciate, and it wouldn't feel the same if they kept bouncing back and forth between different locations. I think the writing of the movie was really good. You know, they snuck in some Twitter jokes. You know, they had the what are those? You know, the comedy in the movie was good. The writing was good. One of my favorite things about the movie, not the, but one of my favorite things about the movie was M'Baku and the Jabari tribe. I hope I said his name right. M'Baku? I think that was his name. They were like the gorilla dudes. They were the tribe that like to isolate themselves from everyone else. It's like, we a part of it, but we you know, got our own thing going on. They were so hilarious. They were so dope, where they would like white people. You gotta love when people shut down white people, like, this is not your space to speak, so step to the side. They just had like an element of comedy, but they were so powerful. Like, I just really liked those characters in the movie. I wish that they showed more of the women from their tribe. You only saw one chick in the fight scene for like 5 seconds, so it was like, damn, where are y'all women at? And I like the fact that even though they isolate themselves and kind of do their own thing, they still had a sense of unity, and you know, they still had a sense of like morality and all of that. Because when T'Challa got his ass tossed over the edge of the cliff and the Jabari tribe found him, they could have been like, yeah, toss him, we don't care. But nah, they put his ass on ice and kept him alive. And then when T'Challa's family came and brought him the little flower, was like, yo, we want you to be the Black Panther so you could save our nation. He could have easily been like, whoo, take it for himself, be the Black Panther and whoop whoop de whoop. But he's like, nah, that still rightfully belongs to the king, and I got his ass in the back. He's alive, so give it to him, save his life, let him be the Black Panther again. This is his fight, it ain't my fight. But he still came to the battle and was like tossing dudes and was like, no, y'all ain't about about to fuck this shit up, Wakanda forever. So yeah, I really like those dudes. And another thing I liked was they didn't do that white savior bullshit. Like, yeah, there was the white guy, and yes, he helped save Wakanda and all that, but the whole movie, they kept him in check. It wasn't like without him everything would have been fucked up and he saved the whole world, because in reality, like, yeah, he helped save them and all that, but if he wasn't there, I'm sure Wakanda has the tools to fix shit. I'm just saying. But yeah, they kept him in check throughout the movie. He wasn't like a role that overpowered anybody else. It was still about the black people here, but I do have a little problem with his character, and I'm gonna get into that later. Now, my favorite thing about this whole entire movie, and this isn't even an opinion, this is the best thing about this whole movie, and if you disagree with me, like, I don't even block people from my channel, but I might block you because you can't argue this. This is factual. The best thing about this whole entire movie is the women. These women were so badass. Like, I don't even know what other word to describe them. Like, they were just straight up badass. You got all these beautiful brown to dark skinned bald baddies just taking over. I mean, not taking over, but taking over. They command respect every time they walk into the room. They're super powerful. They're super confident and everything. Like, you can't not fuck with them. Like, they were so, bruh, they were just so badass. And yes, I saw on social media there were some people who was like, well, where's all the light-skinned girls at? If y'all don't like stop it. No shade to the light skins. Is that a pun? No shade, like shade, no pun intended. I don't know, but no shade to y'all. But it's like why are you really mad? I'm not even about to get into that. Go somewhere else with that. Alright, scoop. But yeah, these women were hands down the best thing about this whole entire movie, in my opinion, but it's also facts, so I mean. Alright, now the things that I did not care for when it came to this movie. There's two things that I didn't really like about this movie, and they actually kind of tie into each other. The first is the portrayal of Killmonger. Don't get me wrong, I'm not mad at his character. I'm not mad at Michael B. Jordan. I think he did a great job playing him, and I understand that it's based off a comic book, like his story was already written. You know, they tweaked it a little, but I get it. I understand it. I don't know who to be mad at. I don't know if it's the writers or what, but I have to say it. I hate the fact that someone who so clearly represented black rage and radicalism in America, the fight for oppressed people, the desire to empower black people, as such a evil, villainous character. We might not necessarily agree with how he went about trying to empower oppressed people and all of that. Why did he have to be so evil? You know what I'm saying? In my opinion, I find the stories of villains way more interesting than the story of superheroes, because in reality, most superheroes become super by chance, by accident, then they choose to be a hero, whatever. But villains become villains because of their circumstances. Some fucked up shit happened to them to be able to understand someone who's supposed to be this evil person. It's almost like watching Maleficent. I don't know if that's a weird comparison. Like, okay, on the surface, we're handed these evil people and you're supposed to automatically not fuck with them. You're supposed to automatically think they're wrong. But when you see the series of events that led up to them being the type of person that they are, it's like, oh, you're not being destructive just for the sake of being destructive. Like, you're not really wrong. Like, you're kind of wrong, but you're not really wrong. Does it make it right to, you know, you're mad so you're blowing shit up and causing chaos? No, I'm just saying it's more interesting. I'm not saying I'm rooting for him, but I mean, shit, I was kind of rooting for Killmonger. Every time he spoke, I'm sitting there like, he's supposed to be the background. I'm just like, but he's right, but he's not wrong. Wait, what is going on here? So yeah, just to bring it back to my point, I hated that he had to be such an evil, villainous character when in reality he was right about a lot of things. His approach might have been a little off, but he was really right about a lot of shit. Now, the second thing I did not like about this movie was, how do I say this? Basically, the portrayal of the white guy. I don't know, I've already said that I like that they didn't make him the quintessential white savior that we tend to see in a lot of movies, even though I noticed there were a lot of people who think that Black Panther still did that white savior bullshit. I don't agree with that, but what I did not like about the role of the white dude is the fact that he was a CIA operative and also an ally to the black people. When has the CIA in the history of the world ever helped black people? That was some bullshit. The existence of Wakanda and a dude running around in a bulletproof catsuit is way more believable than the CIA helping black people. Like, let's be real. So it doesn't bother me that this dude is white and took a bullet for Lupita. It bothers me that the CIA is an ally to this African nation. Is just ridiculous. So to tie it into my previous point about Killmonger, I just hate the fact that this person who's fighting to help empower oppressed black people comes off as more evil and villainous than a CIA agent. It's almost like they're encouraging us to root for the wrong person, you feel me? While this white dude did help save Wakanda, the reality of what happened here is this CIA agent prevented Killmonger from exporting resources from Wakanda that would have helped black people fight their oppression. You can talk about the pros and cons of it or whatever, but that is what happened, and that kind of sucks. My question is, why did they choose to make him a CIA agent instead of an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D.? Am I missing something? Something going over my head? Like, this is a question for you heavy comic book reading, Marvel loving, DC versus Marvel arguing type dudes. Like, can y'all explain this to me? But at the end of the day, I do understand that in a black movie, you can't have all the white people be bad. There's got to be at least one good white person to help redeem all the other bad white people. Like, I get it, whatever, it's fine, it's cool, whatever, I don't care, whatever. So yeah, those are the things that I liked and didn't like about the movie. I just want to touch on some of the underlying messages in this movie. I think one of the more obvious one is Black Americans versus Africans. There's obviously a disconnect. We are not a unified people at all, so I think this movie kind of touched on that a little bit. In the end, they have a bit of a mutual respect for each other, but the reality is there's a lot of misplaced anger and aggression towards one another. There tends to be a lot of ignorance, mostly due to how we've been portrayed towards each other when it came to Killmonger's lack of love and respect for Wakanda once he was actually on Wakandan soil. It took him up to his dying moment to even look out and see how beautiful it was and be like, damn, this shit really is beautiful. But no, he came in with a completely different mindset, choking old ladies and setting shit on fire. But burn it all. But once he calmed the fuck down, mostly because he was dying and had a big ass knife in his chest, he was like, oh, this shit is beautiful. Another important message in the movie is fatherhood, obviously black fatherhood. When you compare and contrast T'Challa to Killmonger, you can see the impact that fatherhood has had on T'Challa, him growing up with his father being around. Even though he found out that his dad did some shady shit, you see how that has affected him from growing from a boy to a man, as opposed to Killmonger, who clearly loves his father. He knows his father didn't abandon him, but you see how him growing up without a father has affected him. He's very angry, you know, again, rightfully so. The impact that their fathers have had on their life clearly is very significant, and they show that throughout the movie. Another huge underlying message about this movie was Black Power. A lot of people think this movie was about Black Power in the sense of starting revolutions and fighting their oppressors, which in a sense is true. I guess they have all these nods to the Black Panther Party, but I think people tend to forget that that's not the only aspect of Black Power. Black Power is not just about starting revolutions and fighting the system, fighting the government, and all of that. I personally think the message of Black Power in this movie was more so about controlling your own government, controlling your own resources, and keeping them within their own community. You know, in the way that Wakanda maintains sustainability by not allowing outsiders control their resources. They control what goes on within their nation. Another aspect of Black Power is unity, especially among black men and black women, which I think is one of the ultimate forms of Black Power, but that's my opinion. You see that men don't overpower the women. They get just as much of a say as the men. Even though T'Challa's king, he's not a dictator. His mother puts in, the other council members put in. And another aspect of Black Power in this movie is putting a lot more focus on advancing as a people, as a nation, rather than solely fighting injustices. When you put in all this time and energy in only fighting injustices while having no control whatsoever on what goes on in your community, that's a lot of wasted energy and effort, because you're really just fighting the same battle over and over and over. You're not getting to the source of the problem at all. But that's just my opinion, you know. I think just to piggyback off of that, I think just the whole being black in America, how our circumstances can radicalize us, the effect of seeing our people being overly policed and incarcerated. And I think one more underlying message within this movie is the role of black women. The women are highly respected in this movie. They're seen as equals. They're super badass. They get shit done. They make decisions for the nation together. Literally the smartest person in the whole nation, Shuri, is a black woman. They don't need the approval of men. They don't beg for the approval of men. They do their shit together and the shit works very harmoniously. I mean, they was fighting and shit, but you get what I mean. They was fighting for the country. They was fighting for Wakanda, not... You get what I'm saying? And the last thing I want to say to wrap this up, oh my god, my baby. So all the people who are saying it's just a movie, chill out, it's not that big of a deal. While we do need to remember that this is a fictitious story, there are so many underlying messages, some that I've mentioned, some that I've not mentioned, some that I might have missed. The underlying messages in this movie are very relevant. So for those of you who say it's just a movie, rarely is anything just something. Anything that takes some type of creative effort, anything that makes you feel something, anything that changes your way of thinking or even makes you raise an eyebrow is not just something. Nothing is just a movie, nothing is just a show, nothing is just a painting, nothing is just a book, nothing is just a song. Everything that you can consume has some type of impact on you, even if you don't realize it. These things affect how you view the world, how you stereotype things, how you respond to certain things. So stop saying that stuff is just a movie. That is not a good way to look at things just because it's put there for your entertainment. Trust me, it has an impact on you. And especially if you are a child, everything you see and hear is impacting you. So stop saying that it's just a movie. And really what you guys are trying to do is tell black people to chill out. Stop telling us to chill out, okay? If we want to walk around in African robes and tribal face paint, let us do that, okay? Nobody was shading Harry Potter and Star Wars people for dressing up in cosplay and going to Comic-Con and conventions and all of that. You guys might have laughed if you didn't understand it, but at the end of the day, y'all let them be. So let us do what the hell we want to do, and don't be stingy with the candy when Halloween comes around, because you know that when October comes, it's about to be 100% Wakanda in this bitch, okay? Alright.